But the reason God started talking to me is because I was doing something really wrong. And God, He proposed me a deal. He said that He can bless our relationship with this guy that I liked, but in return I had to promise God that I'm not going to masturbate again. And so I did it again.
Specifically with masturbation, I remember when I was struggling, there's this one pastor that I heard that sort of let it slide and said something like, as long as you're not being, I don't know, promiscuous.
Got trapped in looking at pornography. I'm married. I was married. I had just had a child not too long before that. Very involved in my church. But when I tried to stop, I realized I couldn't. And the shame was unbearable for me. And keeping the secret from my husband was eating me alive.
What happened was because he set me free from so much sin, masturbation, pornography, all that. Just saying I used to masturbate, like that was, I couldn't say it, even though I had done it. And God was like, you need to give that up. It was awkward because in the Christian world, you don't talk about masturbation, especially girls.
Started masturbating when I was about, I guess, in elementary school age. I kind of figured that it was wrong because I had to hide in my room to do it. So, but it never occurred to me to stop. And even if I tried to, I couldn't.
When I first came out about my pornography addiction at 19 or 18 or 19, I think, confess it to God and confess it to someone in real life and say the word pornography, say the word masturbation, say it out loud, because once you name it, it has less power over you. I really believe that.
So at the age of 6, I was awoken to these sexual desires that were way too early, that I just felt like I was the dirtiest, most worthless kid on this planet. I gave up pornography a year ago, completely, and that was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do.
Masturbation. Vulva, clitoris. I became obsessed with the effect of pleasing my flesh that I didn't even realize I actually was in bondage. It was my master, whom you have from God, and you are not your own. 1 Corinthians.
I want to talk about masturbation, and I know that it seems taboo to talk about it, or it seems like a no-zone area for a lot of believers to even mention it. Talk about my childhood. I had a habitual masturbation problem. Thoughts that I would go to hell every time I did that.
And I was just like, God, I do not want to talk about this topic. I'm not joking. So about from 9 years old, I started masturbating quite often.
And I was very addicted to pornography and masturbation and all kinds of nasty, evil things.
I thought I was the most perverted person in the world, that I was the only woman. I did struggle with both pornography and masturbation, and I asked him, I said, I have tried on my own to quit, and I can't.
But just because God doesn't write them or have them written in the Bible doesn't mean He doesn't have an opinion about those things. However, there's some of you, like me, who are watching this and who have had a problem with masturbation.
And so I thought, through this baptism, I'm going to go under the water and I'm going to come up and I'm just going to be a completely different person, continuing to struggle with what I've struggled with, which was pornography and masturbation. I enjoyed it when it was there, and afterwards I felt so guilt-ridden. I didn't like who I was. I didn't want to look in the mirror because I didn't want to see that, this young girl that I was struggling with something that was so dark and so depraved.
I'm basically going to share one of my personal struggles with y'all that I know that we all struggle with, and that is masturbation. Even when I came to Christ, I would still struggle with it.
So, I don't even want to tell you guys because it's so, embarrassing for me. I can't stop it. I've told myself, well, you can stop. You can stop anytime you want to, Abby. Just stop. But I can't. I can't just stop. I would justify it, or I would, touch myself, and I would say, oh, just don't think about anything sexual,
Before I came to Jesus, it was an addiction. I don't want to do that anymore, but it's just it seems like I can't even stop. And then I told Jesus, please forgive me, set me free from this. And I want to stop. I don't want to do this anymore.
God was like, yo, Tracy talked about masturbation. I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. With me, I was habitual since the age, I think maybe 9, 10, 11, or 12. Until 3 days ago, I'm like, done.
Do you masturbate? That's a yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I guess there are probably maybe times. I don't think I never have.
You would know. Don't you think she would remember if she did it?
Like afterwards, I felt disgusting, but it's one of those things.
But you did it again at a certain point.
Yes. Sometimes I think to myself, like, why should I walk away from this? It feels so good.
Women masturbate. The fact that my curiosity overpowered my sense of shame just long enough for me to stick one finger inside and be. All of that changed when my family got high-speed internet. I never should have had to figure this out in the first place. And the stigma and shame that comes with the lion's share of organized Abrahamic religions should have been buried with the cobweb moral dictums they claim to contain, because women masturbate.